Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. Welcome aboard. First in the house today. Why again? It is AVQ, El Senor Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. We also have Patrick Magner, who is numero dos from Houston, Texas, and in the house, Yvette Avery Herod, numero tres from Atlanta, Georgia. Joanne from Los Angeles, California is in the house. We also have let's see what else we got. Edward Pena. Hello, everyone. He says, LSD, Houston, Texas. Carl Cox is here from Riverdale, Georgia. And of course, we have Lee the Bearcat from Kingwood, Texas. Welcome, folks, in Substack as well. Great to have all of you guys here. I probably lost the first 50 something or so. Joe and three others, welcome aboard. She says, good afternoon. Rady D, Helene Freya, Sabrina, Edward Jerome, Kate Berry, Brad Gardner. We also have Marlene Cassell, Joseph, and Hillary Miller, among many others coming in. Great to see you all here, my dear brothers and sisters. We are going to have a great show for you today. How's everybody doing? Patrick says he has received his $5,000 Doge refund. I got my $5,000 Doge refund. I am lost. Help me out, Patrick. Give me a call and tell me what that $5,000 is. I know it's a joke that's over my head right now. You know, I have the smartest listeners on the planet, but kind of enlighten me to what that is all about. Lee the Bearcat says Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker implicated in USAID fraud. The Pritzker family oversees 64 NGOs siphoning off millions of taxpayer funds. Get off the right-wing machine, guys. Get off the right-wing machine. I don't think that billionaire needs really to rip off USAID to make a few dollars here and there. Jacqueline Campishi, how you doing, my beautiful lady from Katy, Texas, right? Absolutely, yes. I remember the name from the morning show, one of our supporters at KPFT. We also have Jay Ray in the house. Jay Ray says he's roaring. E2247 from all over. He says, see last week, tonight, and John Oliver. I will reset deportations and conditions where persons are sent. Thank you for that one, buddy. Eric Hayes is in the house from Kingwood at Atascocita. And Patrick says, I'm trolling my MAGA buddies. You troll. You old troll. What's wrong with you trolling our MAGA folks are our brothers and sisters in the house as well. Anyway, let's get busy with the program. Enough of that talking, guys. As you come in, I'll say hi when I see you, when I notice the difference. Anyway, folks, you know what's out? Guess what's out? Politico last night, or I should say it was yesterday about 2 something, actually came out with the numbers, and I hadn't quite read the article before the show yesterday, so I'll put it on the screen right now. So for all my MAGA listeners who were convinced that this was not going to affect them, who were convinced that those cuts in Medicaid would not affect them, let me tell you guys, the Medicaid portions of the GOP mega bill would lead to 10.3 million people losing coverage under the Health Safety Net program and 7.6 million people going uninsured, according to the estimates from the nonpartisan, here it is, nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. So therefore, all of you who were sure that your fewer because he said, oh, don't touch Medicaid, or because he says, maybe put a little bit of tax on the rich people, but don't do it, was somehow going to save you. This guy has no interest in you. This guy never had any interest in anything other than your vote. He's a rich guy who cares about one person. I always tell people this, right? Watch the relationships between parents, meaning a mother and her kid, or a father and his kid. Look at the relationship between those, and that will tell you a lot about the character of people. And I used to do a lot of cycling here in Kingwood, Texas. And there were a lot of different people that we cycled with. And for those of you, I have one daughter, and we're very close, and we've always been very close. And they're in watching the relationships between, you're riding 100 miles, and the many times you ride together down the roads and you start talking about kids. And I would always talk about my daughter and what I expected to do. And at the time, I was glad to be in the positions to put away her 529 for her to go to get her bachelor's degree, all that kind of stuff we used to discuss. And a lot of other people would say the same thing as well. But I remember riding next to this guy, and this is a executive. This guy has a lot of money, and all he could say was, "Well, I told them they're going to have to do exactly what I did. They're gonna. I don't care. They're as soon as they are 18 years old, it's out of there. If they want to go to college, they're going to either take out a loan or they're going to go get a damn job and do what I did." And I just started thinking, right? When I went to college, my father couldn't afford much and he gave a little bit. I did the bulk of the work, but that was because of how that was because he couldn't afford to do more. But as you get, if you can do more, there's something about, if you can, you do, whether it's your kid or even somebody else's kid, if you can afford some sort of a helping hand. And that I had never, I will be honest with you, that played an indelible impression on me because I had known about selfish people. I had known about the conservative orthodoxy when it comes to other people, the selfishness within the orthodoxy, but I had never seen it on a relationship with a kid and their parent. I had never, ever experienced that. And I remember, after riding our long distances, we will go and have coffee at Starbucks and sit down outside and talk. And everybody, hey, how come you're so silent or what? I mean, it played such a number on me that we could have that level of selfishness with one's kid. And you know who else I heard with that kind of mention? Donald Trump. You take a look at the relationship that Donald Trump has with his daughters and his kids and so forth. And it's the same type of handoffish relationship that you see. And I tell you what, watch the relationship between the people who have kids, and that tells you a lot about how they will be with others. And it is a clear and present, that person becomes a clear and present danger if they can't have that love for that kid that says, if I have it, I want to be there to help you. And not only your kid, because at the times when I had, if there were other kids around, I remember setting up computer systems for kids to have symposiums and that sort of stuff. If you can, why not? And that's the issue with Donald Trump. That is the reason why he could look straight into MAGA's eyes and say, I am not going to cut your Medicare, looked them in the eye and said, I am not going to cut your Medicare. But at the same time, having dinner with Mike Johnson and say, make it happen, from which we got over $700 billion in cuts for Medicaid. It is shameful, and it is something that is not yet in effect. And all of you that are listening to my voice can actually make sure it doesn't happen. All of you that's listening to this program right now, you have the power to call your congressman. You have the power to call your two senators. You have the power. Well, calling the White House doesn't matter with the White House, because again, that's just a place of selfishness, evil, and otherwise. But you can call your people. Joe says cyclists have to pay attention. Bike Talk KPFK. They see, like Egberto, the world works together. It must. Yes, it does. It does. It does. I knew one of Elon Musk's employees is earning between $100,000 and $1 million annually as political advisor to his billionaire boss, while simultaneously helping to dismantle the federal agency. That is so true and sad, of course. What else have we got here before I go to the first video? Let me see. Para ver, para ver, para ver, para ver, para ver, para ver. Anyway, let me finish with the article. The panel has been tasked with finding $880 billion, and the CBO confirmed the committee is on track to meet that target. So remember, they lied to us and they said, we're not really cutting Medicaid or anything like that. But here it is. The CBO points out clearly the panel has been tasked with finding 880, and the CBO confirmed the committee is on track to meet the target. Now, I know there are a lot of people that are listening to us right now, a lot of MAGA that have good jobs, a lot of MAGA sitting down here that feel they're in good shape. So they cannot see within themselves that other people have needs, and that working people themselves, because we have an economic system that is really a fraudulent casino, many don't see that there are people working their behinds off and not making monies commensurate with what they're doing. And many of them, even as they work, are on Medicaid. The people who are living in rural areas, the basket of where our food is produced, many of them are also on Medicaid, or their hospitals are dependent on, when they take care of folks on Medicaid, dependent on Medicaid to keep those doors open. Right? A lot of our MAGA folks can't see past their hate and will not see that, in fact, what they're doing is harming their relatives in these country towns, harming their relatives in these nursing homes that will now go unfunded, reduce staff, which will turn many of them into death traps. But again, it's a Christian thing, right? It's an evangelical Christian thing, right? It's the evangelical Christian thing to do what Donald Trump is mandating that Congress does. And I tell you, folks, it is time for progressives, it is time for Democrats to actually not just message correctly, but tell what they will do if elected into office. So, that said, I was watching a program today on MSNBC, and a congressman, I think it's Max Rose, came on, and they were discussing about the airplane, about the 747 that Qatar has donated to Donald Trump. And he was all elated and excited because he believes that this is something that Democrats should pick up and run with. You know, the emoluments clause and the grift and the corruption of Donald Trump with this plane. So he thinks this is something that we should put a lot of weight into. I want you to see how he says it. He really believes that. He wants to take on Donald Trump on that plane.
So this is a very different instance, but one that I think forces the conversation, and I think Congress has an opportunity to act here. And I'm grateful that people like Secretary Haley are joining a bipartisan caucus of voices and speaking out against this.
I'll give you the last word, Max.
You know, I would just say here, this is the issue Democrats should be talking about. As we're talking about, you know, they throw so much at us each and every day, and it starts to feel a little schizophrenic on the part of the Democrats because there's so many horrendous things happening. This is an 80-20 issue. Donald Trump prides himself and his acolytes pride themselves on taking the right side of 80-20 issues. Well, in this instance, they're on the 20% issue. Nobody supports taking a $400 million payoff bribe from a nation overseas at the same time that you're being on the side of billionaires and cutting Medicaid. It's a clear story of corruption and being against hardworking Americans. That's the narrative that's going to win back the House and the Senate in just a few short years.
Former Congressman Max Rose.
Now, it's an 80-20 issue. Hey, Democrats, talk about it. Talk about that airplane. Talk about Trump's corruption. Wait a minute. Isn't Trump the person who got rid of Roe v. Wade? Wasn't Roe v. Wade like maybe a 65-35 or a 60-40 proposition, somewhere around there? And he won? Wasn't this guy a guy who was convicted of all these other crimes, many, many felonies, and he won? Wasn't this guy the guy who took money out of a charity for personal use, stole money out of a charity for personal use, and he won? Wasn't this guy who had a fake university, ripped off millions, thousands of people, and had to pay restitution of over $25 million, and he won? Wasn't this guy who ripped off employees that did work for him at his different casinos that all went bankrupt? And wait a minute, and he still got elected? Wasn't this guy who, what did he do again? Oh, wasn't this the guy who actually went ahead and assaulted a woman, and a judge called it out as, if it were rated today, it would be called rape, and he got elected? Democrats have to wake up. Donald Trump is a crook. Donald Trump is a thug. Donald Trump has been said by a judge to be a rapist. Donald Trump is all those things. And he got elected, including by a majority of some women. That is not the way to win against Donald Trump. Those things are already assigned. We are still a patriarchy. We are still, a large portion of us still are fidgety with white supremacy. The only way to beat and win decisively is to take on subjects that go to the core of everybody. And the airplane is not one of them. Yes, you can use the airplane to remind progressives and to remind a few marginal Republicans that, yeah, this guy, look at what he did. It is okay to do that. But the major issues is just as Bernie Sanders have been saying decade after decade. It's economics. I don't care if somebody, I do care. But what I'm saying, when it comes to earning somebody's vote or getting somebody votes, I don't care if they're a sexist. I don't care if they're a racist. I don't care if they're a homophobe. I don't care if they're a xenophobe. I want to get to what they care about, because I can work on their hearts. It'll take years to work on their hearts, but I can work on what materially affects them to get their vote. That's what Donald Trump and all his peons do. They had people believing that it was okay to overlook that he was a thug. It's okay to overlook that he was a mob boss because selfishly, we allowed our willful ignorance to think it was worth electing this guy. Yeah, there are some other biases that played in, but Obama went through all those biases, and Obama, by being the way he was, he learned how to break it. And there are a lot of newcomers in the chat. There are a lot of newcomers that are listening. So I'm going to tell you when I knew Obama was going to win that election. When Obama went into Pennsylvania, not Obama, but his canvassers went into Pennsylvania, and a canvasser asked the woman at the door. I know a lot of you have heard it, but many haven't. A lot of canvassers went to the door of this woman, this white woman, and they asked her, "Who are you voting for?" And she turned to her husband. I don't know why, but she turned to her husband. "Honey, who are we voting for?" And they turned back and said, the husband said, "Tell them we're voting for the N guy." A lot of people think, oh, you get upset because they use the N word. I really don't care about that. I don't care. I care about humanity, and I'm caring about what I can do, what we can do. When they said that, the bells went off in my head. Obama cracked the code. The code was he gave a message that convinced that person to put his prejudices aside and vote for his economic interest. The message was such that he could put his prejudice aside and vote his economic interests. And that is what Democrats have got to do. You don't have to go out there and turn an anti-abortionist, an anti-abortionist into somebody who supports women's rights. You don't need to do that. You don't need to convince a racist not to be a racist. You don't need to convince a homophobe not to be a homophobe. What you need to do is figure out what it is they need from you to get their vote for the better good of society in the aggregate. And if we start thinking that way, that is how, by the way, that is not some ingenious thinking on my part. That is how they campaign. The evangelicals have nothing in common with a plutocrat. Nothing. In fact, plutocrats screw evangelicals all the time. But evangelicals wanted something, and the plutocrats gave it to them. The plutocrats gave it to them, and the plutocrats continue to give the impression that they will continue giving them what they want to get. And when we educate ourselves into thinking practically, and look, that is what Bernie Sanders have preached. The Democratic Party throws Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They disregard them. Some of the more, what should I say, straight Democrats who has to be pure. They want to make sure that you toe the line. Make sure you're absolutely not racist. Make sure you're absolutely not sexist. Make sure you're absolutely not anything. And if you get stuck on that issue, they get stuck on that issue, and that's all they talk about, right? But when we learn, as Bernie Sanders do, get to the issues that everybody believes they have to have, and then you'll get there. I remember back in at a Netroots. I go at Netroots. This is the largest group of progressives meet every year. In fact, we're going to New Orleans this year. We had Bernie Sanders come in, and and Black Lives Matter came in and break up Bernie Sanders' speech. And, there's a long message there. And the idea was they wanted him to put the, get a part of his message to include race. And I had mixed feelings about that. But at the time, it was during when the cop that beat the guy, whatever his name was, I can't remember it right now. And I could understand then maybe was okay for Bernie to go ahead and modify his speech, and he did. By that night, we had 15,000 people at that hotel, the convention center, and he did change his message in such a manner that it included the boot on the guy's neck and why we needed racial justice and all of that. But going forward, I would like that to be touched on, but we are not changing anybody's hearts with an election. We change that in between elections and all those years that need things to be covered. That's what we need. And when we learn that, progressives should know that, but when Democrats learn that, then their elections would be landslides because we are where the people are. That is why you see Josh Hawley says in his New York op-ed, we are trying to stop being the party of the plutocrats. We are trying to be the party of the working class because, again, that's the only way we can get some growth. And you know what? We were making inroads. Of course, they were using sexism and all of those isms to get inroads, and which they got the sexist black folks, they got the sexist Latino folks, they got the racist group of women, etc. to that coalition that they built. But we could have built a better coalition. We could have built a better coalition. So anyway, Independent Voter One says fix their problems and it will heal their hearts. And there is something to that. When we are under stress, the carnality comes out. The amygdala, that part of the brain, the speaker that I had a couple of weeks ago, Pedro Silva, spoke about, that really takes off. And you're absolutely right, Independent Voter on Substack. All right, Paul Fleming says, Senator Kim, why did the HHS shut down the National Fire Cancer Registry? RFK Jr., I don't know about that. Of course he doesn't. It's Project 2025 that's running the government right now. All these people that are there, that are ahead guys, are just that. They are just figureheads implementing Project 2025. So they don't know what the hell's going on. You know, for what I mean, Paul Fleming, they don't know what's going on. Project 2025 is in vogue right now. That's where things are actually happening, Project 2025. All right, I've got another video. This one should be sort of funny. And this has to do with the DHS Secretary, right? She goes into Congress for her hearing, and it just shows you that the lying is endemic in the Trump administration, that even as you're showing the truth, they are unable and unwilling to accept the truth, just so to ensure that the American people are not snowed. And it is sad because leadership, when presented with the evidence in pictures on the screen, they should be better than that. They should be better than that. But unfortunately, when you're a part of the Trump administration, where lying is a part of the modus operandi, you can't depend on that. I want you guys to listen to this.
Noem was also asked if a picture that President Trump posted on social media of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's knuckles with MS-13 on it was doctored. She refused to comment, and we should add that Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to El Salvador and has not been convicted of any crimes in the United States. So take a listen here.
Is this doctored or is it not doctored?
I am taken quite seriously.
Is it
because
doctored or not doctored?
With the importance that the president has given me to do
I understand. Is it doctored or not
One thing
doctored?
that's important to remember is that every single time a case is built...
Madam Secretary, I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I have a detector. I'm just asking you, is this doctored or not doctored?
Sir, the protocols in the case built against...
Can you
Abrego
answer the
Garcia
question?
were exactly the same.
Madam Secretary,
I don't have any knowledge as to that photo you're pointing to.
So that photo that photo really highlighted today what concerns there have been about whether or not Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. We also saw that we expect to see questions about some white South Africans who landed this week, and they were welcomed by State Department officials. The U.S. Embassy in South Africa also launched a new portal on their website where more white South Africans are expected to submit their statement of interest and claim persecution from Black South Africans. At the same time, the Trump administration has recently determined that Afghanistan is safe enough for Afghans who are here to go back. Yet the State Department's own website describes Afghanistan as dangerous due to crime, terrorism, and kidnapping.
This just proves to you that the entire Trump administration and the DHS Secretary and their policies are just fraudulent, and not just fraudulent, it is sad. Because what you're seeing there is they're deporting Afghanistanis back to Afghanistan, which is a place that's very dangerous. People who have individually helped American soldiers, helped American executives, helped American politicians there in Afghanistan. And now they're going to deport them. But for South Africans, the Afrikaners who claim that they are being attacked, who claim that their lands are being stolen. Remember, they are the ones who originally stole the land, right? The Afrikaners of Dutch, German, and and British descent. They're the ones who came onto somebody else's land and took it and threw all the black folks in South Africa onto Bantustans. Those were arid lands that didn't have productivity, etc. That's where they threw them. They took all the farmland, etc. And now that the government is saying, look, we are going to have more equitable distribution of the land. Oh, they're calling foul. But still, they own 70%. 7% of the population own 70% of the land. And how was that land acquired again? Oh, let me see. Oh, it was just taken. Well, taken just means stolen. And they are not only the ones that are that are aggrieved now, right? And the government, the DHS, Noem's DHS, is putting out websites in South Africa telling, hey, white South Africans, fill this out. Come to America. Come to America because you are oppressed. And we will give you welfare when you come here. We will buy you diapers when you come here. We will give you rent support when you get here. We will give you housing when you get here. And, don't forget, we still have the moratorium on, what is it called? Asylum for those people south of the borders. Those refugees south of the border can't come in, but you can. And not only can you come in, we will send a chartered airplane with United States dollars, taxpayer dollars, to fly you to the United States. Now, these are people of Dutch, German, and British descent. Maybe if they were really, really persecuted, shouldn't the British, the Dutch, and maybe the Germans take these folks? Don't you think? And by the way, the Constitution written by the South Africans have never had a 3/5 clause, always protected every single South African, minorities or otherwise. Oh, built into the Constitution, protect nature. Oh, built into the Constitution. A much better Constitution than we have because it took in everything. And they're running over here for asylum. They're running over here as refugees. And we are paying the United States taxpayer dollar is paying. I wonder if my MAGA folks inside of the chats gonna complain about all the taxpayer dollars going to bring the Afrikaners here to the United States. Hey guys, my brothers and sisters from the other side, my MAGA brothers and sisters, is it okay to bring the Afrikaners on taxpayer dollars and take care of them on taxpayer dollars? I'd love to hear your opinions. Please tell me. I want to know. Because you sure as hell care when those other people south of the border are coming. Do you feel that way as well? I wonder. So please inform me. Anyway, so folks, we have some one last video before I start taking calls. And this one has to do with this pundit from Bulwark. And I think he nails it. He nails it. In Donald Trump, in less than 100 days, has taken away the stature that we had in the world. After his first term, our stature fell dramatically. But by the same token, people thought that, well, everybody is due a mulligan. It's okay that a country could elect somebody by mistake. And after all, it's not that they really elected Donald Trump, because the first time around, Donald Trump didn't win the election. He won the Electoral College, which is an anarchism that is really kind of crazy. And other democracies around the world just don't get it, like I don't get it as well, that it is a very undemocratic way of electing a president. But hey, that's what you got. It was an accident that Donald Trump got elected, okay? But the second time around, he won the plurality with the popular vote. He didn't win the maximum amount of vote. He didn't win the majority of the American vote, but he won the plurality of the American votes. At that point, the rest of the world said, we can't look at that as an accident. That is America. That is America. And if that is America, if not enough people in America are ready to lead as they were before, just maybe we have to do otherwise. And I want you to listen to this pundit because I think he nailed it.
Then a lot of Trump supporters did back him on these tariffs because they want manufacturing to return to America. So what is he saying to them today?
I don't know. Like, he'll tell them like the same stuff he did when he told them that he built the wall and they all believed him. Right. I mean, this is what it's nice to have a cult, right? When you can just have a cult and you tell people stuff and they believe it. You know, I'm a little bugged here because the damage is done. I mean, you said at the top of the show, we're on day 113. There's more than 1,000 days of this left. I mean, just imagine how much more damage can be done. And, you know, when you said what is the big takeaway from this? The big takeaway, I think, is that the American-led world order is over. And I don't think that goes back together again. Right. The rest of the world has to move on. The rest of the world has to make plans and arrangements. They have to make financial plans and trade arrangements. They have to make security plans and security arrangements. And the old thing that we all grew up with, where the America led the world order, I think that's done.
You wrote about that today. You wrote that even beyond economically, when it comes to defense and other areas, since Trump launched this in the last 6 weeks, countries are moving on without us. Just explain that in more detail, please.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this with the Canadian election, which was really done on the question of, is the Canadian partnership with America finished or not? And Canadians voted yes. The Chinese stood up and, you know, as Charlotte said, the Chinese realized, oh, we have all the leverage over the U.S. right now, and the U.S. backed down from them. Last week, the new German chancellor was sworn in. The very next day, he went to Paris, met with Emmanuel Macron, and they announced that they're going to stand up a new defense council, security council between just the two of them. That really, I mean, there's no way to read that except as we no longer have any faith in NATO. And they even talked about extending the French security nuclear umbrella for the rest of Europe. Like, this is, again, I think in America, we've talked ourselves into believing that, like, oh, well, the Trump thing happened and it's really bad and unfortunate. But, you know, if we can just get through this, then in 4 years, we can course correct and put things back together again. But that's not how the world works, right? The rest of the world keeps spinning, and we've gone this way and into this cul-de-sac and just sort of abdicated America's responsibility for leadership in the world. And once you do that, like, it takes a generation to fix it, I think. And that's if you're lucky.
I am so glad that he said what he said, that it takes a generation to fix it, because I used that on another program. I think it was on WBAI or one of these other stations. And no, it wasn't WBAI, it was another one. And I got some pushback because there are really people who think that when we rid ourselves of Donald Trump, everything is going to be okay. To which I pointed out, no, everything is not going to be okay, because this cancer isn't Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just a representation of this cancer. That's it. Donald Trump represents a cancer that is endemic within our country. And what we have to do is find the antidote. And that antidote isn't, even if we get 3 more Democrats that win the presidency, which is very likely after Donald Trump. It will take people forgetting that America was capable of electing a Donald Trump. And that will take a generation, because the people who lived through it around the world, the destructive nature of this guy, the people who live it around the world, they are going to say, we can't trust them. Okay, they did it this time. We can't trust them. That is where Donald Trump and those who have elected Donald Trump have put our country. That's what they've done to our country. So the reality is, what can we say? Egberto, if Trump is a cancer, he's already stage 4, metastatic. I love the way you say that. I love the way you say that. It is true. That is such a true statement. It is metastatic. That's where we're at. Hey, Maywood from Long Beach, California. How are you doing? Let's see here. Yet deported without legal process, but Trump wants to bring it at taxpayer expense simply because they, at white racists with no credible claim for refugee or asylum. True, they don't have a claim. They don't have a claim. And in fact, constitutionally speaking, South Africa's constitution is better than ours. Reverend Carlton says, right on. He is right about Canada. We are moving on. We do not trust USA. Why would we now? And, I get it. And I can't argue. If Canada had done what the United States had, I wouldn't trust Canada either. We have to go back and earn the respect of others. And, the truth of the matter, it is good that these other countries are starting to say, you know what, defense has to be on us, etc., because it is never good to put your eggs in one basket, because when that basket breaks, you're in trouble. Right now, I think we need to have a multipolar world. A single polar world or a duopolar world, it really is not a good thing. I'm starting, people, because what you have are strong people, strong men, strong women ruling, and I don't think that is the best thing for democracy, for humanity, for the environment. I don't think it's good for any of that. Okay. That was my last video, and I am taking calls now. 281-823-7747. Feel free to give me a call now. 281-823-7747. I am taking calls right now. Una vez más voy a repetir el número. Es el 281 823-7747, 281-823-7747. If anybody who speaks Spanish wants to call as well, feel free to do so. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. Hey, a lot of people listening, a lot of people watching. Where are the calls? 281. And you know what's interesting? When I do the calls over air on radio, because when we do the program on radio in the mornings on KPFT 90.1 FM, we're not only on Substack and YouTube and Facebook Live, Twitch Live, Twitter Live. We're also going over the FM channels, and we get a ton of calls in the mornings. But I guess this platform, people are not used to making voice calls as well. So I'm thinking about looking for another product as well. I don't have it yet. Another product that if you're on a laptop or a phone, I want to find a product that you can just go ahead and click, boop, and then you can say, I can talk directly into my phone or directly into my computer, my desktop. I have somebody that's been trying to get in touch with me for the last several days who said we have this great AI feature, and it seems like they're trying to tell me that it has that. But anyway, let's continue. Canada, from Joe, Canada, let's see. On Substack, California does not blame you. Please, no deal with USA nuclear power. It's inferior technology. I hear you. Paul Fleming says police officer here in Georgia a few days ago pulled over the wrong person and through running the tags and looking at their license, realized that he had pulled over an illegal alien, but the young woman had been here since she was 4 years old and was attending college. But he had to bring her in, and then his boss alerted ICE, and now she is in detention center. Really sad. These people are evil. They are the instantiation of evil. Joe, sorry that your phone is still broken. You got to get that industrial shield. Paul Fleming says new Deloitte Consultant is taking in tens of millions in tax dollars to build, manage, and market Georgia's Medicaid work requirement program. Yet only 3% of eligible residents had enrolled. Sad, right? E2247 says 47. After moving through independent agencies, he has turned to an agency of Congress, the Library of Congress, all without telling Republicans he was coming. It's illegal. That he doesn't have the power to do that over the Library of Congress at all. And they tried to go in yesterday or the day before, and the staff of the Library of Congress called the police, and they came and removed Donald Trump's people from attempting to enter. All right, let's see what else we got here. What else we have in the chat? Converting Qatar-owned 747 jet into a new Air Force One for President Trump would involve installing multiple top secrets of cost of $1 billion, more than twice the plane's value. Again, it's not going to happen. The plane is just a gift for Donald Trump. The reason they're doing it this way is it has so that the emoluments clause doesn't get into it. This is what they think. This is their theory. They're going to take that plane, transfer it to transfer it to the United States government. So it's not a gift to Trump on paper, right? It's a gift to the United States government, and tied to that gift is a statement that says, and after the current president leaves office, that will be a donation to the Trump Foundation that's going to be building his library. And as you know, foundations are nothing but appendages of the founder of the foundation. So more than likely, he will then ride that plane to wherever he wants to go, and the foundation will pick up all the charges for that plane that's flying the president around. I mean, look, if it works, and it'll work if the Supreme Court doesn't come back and say, nope, that is a violation of the Constitution, and if again the Congress doesn't act. This is a fraud, but we knew we were electing a fraud. So this shouldn't be new to any one of us. This should not be new to any one of us. All right, what else have we got here? Let's see what else we got. Macaroon says, Mike C, whoa, there's some crazy project. RFK is dumb as rocks, according to Paul Fleming. He says, Alsbrook, can you name which office the Safe to Sleep campaign operates out of? RFK Jr. Which campaign? Also, Brooks says the one the senator asked you about just 2 minutes ago. It's ACF. Also, Brooks. No, actually, it's Health and Human Services. Well, again, Donald Trump didn't use DEI for his hires. If he had used DEI, meaning diversity, equity, and inclusion, he would have had a larger pool to pick from, in which case he would have gotten people smart enough to work in the White House, to work in the agencies. But again, if he wanted meritorious, excellent, and intelligent people working for him, he would have implemented diversity, equity, and inclusion. He failed, so he got what he got. It's an embarrassment that Hegseth is our Defense Department. It's an embarrassment that our entire healthcare system is run under a guy who had a worm in his head, who believed that vaccines don't work. It is a shame, but that's what we got. And that's what the rest of the world is seeing about us. Reverend Carlton says too many DUI hires in Trump. And that he was to a drunk, right? I forgot to mention that. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, he was a drunk. So that's what we have. And we have a drunk. We have a Rolex wearing HHS Secretary, DHS Secretary, who runs around in uniforms dependent on where she is, whether it be uniforms for the sheriff, uniforms for the DH. I mean, it is amazing what's going on in our country. It is amazing what's happening in our country. All right, folks, we got 2 more minutes in which we can take calls. Feel free to give us a call, 281-823-7747. Una vez más lo voy a repetir, 281-823-7747. All right, let's see if I have one more to read before we go here and before I do my ask. What have we got here? Okay. It doesn't look like we have any more in the chat. Anybody in Substack want to make a mention? Just let's see. Just US Shell. Hi, just us Shell. And Mark Dillon, how are you doing? Welcome to the Substack. We're close to the end. Close to the end. But please go ahead and if you're on Substack, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And next time we have the program, we'll be there. Let's see. Bruce Pollard said, and a conjurer for a surgeon general. That's a big word, a conjurer for a surgeon general. Yeah, I don't know if she can get confirmed. We'll see. We'll see. Nicholas Venice Veach. Well, welcome, Nicholas Venice Veach. Okay. Hello, just dropped in. Hi, just us, Shell. Thanks for dropping in. All right, we got to get out of here. But before we go, I want to advise that we do more than just this show. As you know, we do the 6 a.m. Central Time show on KPFT that we simulcast here on Substack, on YouTube, on Facebook as well. So please remember to join in that morning show. We get a whole lot of calls from all over the country as well. Because we do it on FM as well, that kind of has a way of coming in. So check the program out there. Now, please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. It's called Egberto Off the Record. We do more than just the program. We write books. We write articles all over, not just here on Substack, but on my own website, egbertowillies.com, politicsandright.com. We also write articles for Daily Kos, Op-Ed News, and many others. The idea is, our intent is to flood the zone. The right wing pays thousands of people all over the world to flood the zone with lies. We have to flood the zone with truth so that when people do their searches, they can pull these things up. Let's see. Baruch says, Egberto, I would love to host you as a guest on my radio show, Paradigms. Check your email for the invitation from Baruch at paradigms.life. I'll be honored to be on your show, sir. So I'll look for that email after the program. So, my dear brothers and sisters, so we flood the zone. We make sure to have the progressive message everywhere. I mean, everywhere. What we do as well, folks, is we make sure that all that the info that we get here is on every platform. And let me just, since I have a couple of minutes, I can show you around a bit. If you take a look, let me put it on the middle screen here. This is the page that gives you all the areas that we're at. As you can see, we're an instant. We make sure to have shorts and videos everywhere on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on what is it called? Blue Sky, podcasts, websites, PayPal. I mean, we're everywhere, and we flood the zone on all these areas. We package everything that we do for the different platforms to make sure it's out there. And our newsletter, Egberto Off the Record, we make sure that this stuff, that we make sure that it subsidizes all this work. But there are other, and if you want to know all the places that we are, like what other places we write at, as you can see on the screen here, we write at OEN, which is the Op-Ed News. Alternate, we have stories there. Common Dreams, we have stories there. Daily Coast, Medium, Politics, all these areas, we're out there flooding the zone. Important work that we do to make sure we do our part to get the progressive message out. Likewise, you can see the books that we have there, etc. If you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, all our books, both current and future books, you will get to read for free. It's right there on the platform for you to read for free. So please, again, consider becoming a part of the family, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Independent One says, can you provide more information about the Progressive Convention you mentioned? Oh, absolutely. And look, thank you for asking that. That is, I am supposed to be, let me go to, this is, let's do that right now. I think I got about a half a minute. I do that for you. This is the convention here. Come on, Egberto. Netroots, come on. It's coming up. When it come on, what's wrong with our network? Is there something wrong with our network? All right, as soon as it pops up, I'm going to put it out there for you. But I'm glad that you asked. But, cannot be reached. Come on now. I know that's not right. Let's see that, unless the server is down. Anyway, it seems like it cannot be reached, but we'll do it another time. I'll get it to you another time. I'll definitely get it for you another time. So we are doing the work that's necessary to get all this done. And I want to thank you guys for being here today. Again, one more ask. Please be sure, if you have the wherewithal, to become a paid subscriber of Egberto Off the Record. That's our newsletter. And I promise you, all those books you will enjoy. Anyway, got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right, I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.